covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 5 starts right now.
The controversial revised social studies standards will be implemented in Oklahoma classrooms next school year after all, and a state lawmaker says the attempt to stop it stalled because the governor changed his mind. Thanks so much for joining us at 5. I'm Shay Rozzi.
And I'm Nathan Thompson. We've told you the new standards include biblical instruction and encourages students to look into political scandals like COVID's origins and alleged discrepancies in the 2020 presidential election. The resolution filed last week to stop the standards failed this week in the state Senate.
Fox 23's Devin Lyon joins us live in studio tonight with why the efforts to stop them suddenly died out.
This was a huge last-minute effort last week that died out pretty quick this week. The answer is pretty simple. It started with and ended with the governor.
I talked to the governor 3 different times over the weekend just to verify that he was still calling for that, and he was all the way up until Sunday. And then Sunday evening when I talked to the governor, he wasn't going to help us with accomplishing that.
State Senate Pro Tem Lonnie Paxton says the efforts to block the revised social studies standards fizzled out as the governor drew back his support.
And so we had a very robust discussion, and after that was all over, we just realized there was not enough support within our caucus to move that forward.
These were Governor Kevin Stitt's initial comments last week.
There was a different standard that was sitting on the desk that they actually voted on.
They sparked this resolution to be filed at the final buzzer by Republican Education Chairman Senator Adam Pugh. It was based on alleged public meetings violations, costs, and concern from board members. It showed textbooks for these standards would cost $33 million. Paxton says that's already woven into the state budget.
When I had my office look into the funding and the history all the way back to 2019, there were times where it cost more or less than that, and it would fluctuate. So when we look at that process, there is a subject that is highlighted every year for funding, and this just happens to be a social studies year.
Democrats are frustrated. Senate Minority Leader Julia Kurt says Democrats have been sounding the alarm on these standards for months, and Republicans failed to act on it.
Unfortunately, our Republican colleagues would not take up that resolution to reject the standards, so those are going to become the standards in the new year, and we're going to be vigilant about how the textbooks get written and how these things get taught in our schools.
As for open meetings violations, Pro Tem Paxton says the Board of Education members should have voted down the standards in February if they had concerns.
That's their responsibility, even as new members. You're not forced to vote yes or no on anything.
Now, unless these standards are challenged in court, they will be applied to public schools this fall. When I last spoke to the state superintendent, he told me they are already working on training instruction for teachers in Oklahoma. Live in studio covering news that matters, Devin Lyon, Fox 23 News.